Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's May 23rd. It is 2024. We have a 6-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Actually recording on Thursday morning, technically. Late night podcast for Wednesday night. I'm using Plate IQ, so if you are not watching or listening live, feel free to go to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page and watch the breakdown with Plate IQ, the tool that I use for baseball every single day. I mean, there's no way around it. I use it every single day, and it's just a phenomenal tool here at RotoGrinders. So if you haven't checked it out, you should. Or come watch the breakdown on YouTube, and you can kind of get a sneak peek at what Plate IQ looks like. So if you like this video, make sure you like the video and comment below and tell us to keep doing these shows so I can keep showing it to the higher ups and they'll keep letting me do them. Seattle at New York is where we get started here. 8 total battle of the Luis. We got Luis Castillo against Luis Gil. I said slight favorite here for the Yankees. Looking at Luis Castillo first. I mean, Luis Castillo, really solid numbers on the season. 26.7% strikeouts, 5% walks. Really just continues to struggle with like left-handed bats. 217 ISO, 362 WOBA against lefties. That's been his downfall. He's been really good against righties, limiting power, plenty of strikeouts, big-time swinging strikes, limiting barrels. He's getting beat by lefties. Well, problem for him is they can throw Soto, Verdugo, Rizzo, Wells, Cabrera at him here. So enough lefties to definitely keep me off of Castillo. And like the strikeouts are just low for this team overall. Like the Yankees have been a low strikeout team. They've added some low strikeouts in this lineup with Soto, Verdugo, Austin Wells is putting the ball in play a ton. So, I mean, Stanton is like the huge strikeout guy. Judge is a huge strikeout guy, and it's like those are the two guys you're worried about when it comes to hitting home runs too. So I'm gonna pass on Luis Castillo today. It's an early day, like an early slate. I'll probably only end up playing like 3 teams today. I don't think I'll get to Luis Castillo. Luis Gil, on the other hand, definitely interested in Gil coming off of a 14 strikeout game last time out for Luis Gil, and he gets one of the best strikeout matchups in baseball here. His strikeout stuff has been phenomenal. He can strike out both sides of the plate. You know, from time to time, he'll give up a big hit or two. But, I mean, Luis Gil has been a very strong strikeout pitcher here for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Just has been phenomenal. So 10K in this spot. I prefer Gil over Wheeler. I probably like Skeens more than I like Gil, but I'm going to be playing quite a few of both of them. We'll talk about Skeens in the next game. It's actually the next game. So, yeah, I mean, Luis Gil just, I mean, look at the lineup here for Seattle on a nightly basis. This is just a really high strikeout lineup. The power is limited. Julio Rodriguez, 35 ISO, 272 WOBA against righties this season. Mitch Garver probably won't be in there to be Cal Riley. And then like maybe Canzone, but he's another guy that has a huge strikeout rate. Luke Raley will probably be in there. He's striking out a lot. Rojas is like that one hitter that you're worried about when you're playing Luis Gil, but he's not a huge like strikeout guy. Or like Gil is not like a huge like power guy, so like I'm not too concerned here. Or Rojas is not. I'm trying to say Josh Rojas is not a big power guy, and I just can't get the words to come out of my mouth the way that I want him to. So, yeah, I mean, I have a ton of interest here in Luis Gil. Not really interested in the Seattle bats. I mean, it is Yankee Stadium, so lefties do get a bump. So if you wanted to take a shot on Rojas at 4K, I wouldn't necessarily talk you off of it. I'm probably not going to go there. Maybe JP Crawford at 3,300 at shortstop if you're punting shortstop on the slate. Like We have Ellie De La Cruz and Seager, but we don't have like Witt and some of these other guys that we've been paying up for at shortstop all season. So it's a little bit more interesting when it comes to shortstop than, hey, just going to pay up for one of these two guys. So you could potentially punt. Not saying I don't like De La Cruz, because I do. On the Yankee side, I'm very interested in if Luis Castillo is going to have some ownership here. And if he does, like, I'll take some shots on like Juan Soto, Verdugo, Rizzo. I don't know if I play a lot of Austin Wells. He's putting the ball in play, but he doesn't have a ton of power. I think he has 1 home run on the season. He's hitting under 200. Not a guy that's like when I punt catcher, I'm typically looking for a punt catcher that has some home run upside. And I just don't think that he has a ton of home run upside. So, and yes, my cup is green. I didn't think about that. So I'm sorry for anybody that's watching live and they're like, what the heck? But yeah, Juan Soto, I think, is the play. Verdugo, Rizzo, all fine. It's really going to come down to like, does Luis Castillo get a lot of ownership? Then I'll play some Yankees. 6-game slate. I'm not afraid to attack a really solid pitcher here. San Francisco at Pittsburgh. 8.5 total in this game. Pittsburgh is a 158 favorite. We got Mason against Paul Skeens in this one. Black, 5,500. He's really cheap. Pittsburgh's not a great offense, but he just hasn't been good so far. I looked at it before we got going here. And, I mean, very small sample size, right? He's only had 3 starts. He hasn't pitched a lot. He doesn't pitch deep into games, but got called up about 2 weeks ago on the 6th. And just so far, he just hasn't been good. 13.8% Ks, 294 ISO, 462 WOBA. Don't think I'm going to get to Mason Black on this slate. Other side, though, Skeens, I mean, obviously one of the top prospects in all of baseball, top pitching prospect in all of baseball. Got to face the Cubs back-to-back in his first 2 starts and struck out 11 and didn't allow a hit. So, I mean, living up to the hype already is Skeens. I mean, this is a great matchup going up against the Giants. They're missing some of their big bats in this lineup, so a lot more strikeouts in this lineup right now, too. So, yeah, I'm very, very interested in Skeens in this one. I mean, how can you not play the stash, right? As far as the Giants bats, I'm going to probably be really heavy on Skeens. So, like, maybe a hedge stack. But overall, I mean, this, like I said, this guy has really kind of lived up to the hype. His stuff is electric. It's so good. I watched both of his starts, and his stuff is just really good. In that first Cubs game, they hit him. They didn't hit him like hard, but they hit him. And then he definitely got some revenge in his next start. Just absolutely dominated them in Wrigley. So maybe some first start jitters, but overall, not very interested here in the Giants. If you did want to be a little different, I'd play maybe like a Chapman, Soler, like the power upside guys, but I'm not going out of my way to play the Giants here. Yeah, I mean, Skeens has been somebody that everyone's kind of just been waiting for him to get called up. But Mason Black on the other side of this game, very interested in Pittsburgh today. Hate full stacking Pittsburgh because they're just not the best offense in baseball, but they're definitely a team that I'll be looking at like mini stacking today. O'Neal Cruz should hit leadoff because it's a righty instead of a lefty. So I have a ton of interest in him. I have a ton of interest in Reynolds here. Both of those guys, like 44 and 43. I think they have fantastic price points today. Swazinski has another good price tag at like 3,500. So I'm very interested in them. Bay is back. He's 3,200. You can play him at second base or outfield. I assume he'll be in the lineup for this one. Yeah, because he came back and then he missed a game because it was a lefty, but he should be back in the lineup in this one, so I don't mind him. Not a huge power guy last season. I know he had a home run in his first game back, but I definitely don't mind playing Bay at his price point. He's just really cheap at second base. And yeah, I mean, if Joey Bart catches, they mix their catches up quite a bit. If Joey Bart catches, I could definitely play him as well. I think that's it. I would catch Bart, especially with Grandal. Like Grandal is banged up right now. He's dealing with a groin. So like if he's out, Bart could be interesting. Or if Grandal plays, I mean, he's someone that's solid against right-handed pitching. We got Texas at Philadelphia, 8.5 total in this one. Philadelphia is a 205 favorites. We got Andrew Heaney going up against Zach Wheeler in this one. Hey, Dane Dunning. I don't know. We talked about it. We were like, is it gonna work out? It didn't. Anyway, we got Andrew Heaney first here. I mean, just look at the top half of this lineup, right? Bohm, Stout, like even Stout, his WOBA is really good. Harper, Schwarber, lefty. They hit lefties well. Sosa is always somebody that I like against left-handed pitching. So I think it's a really tough spot for Andrew Heaney. He's 6,800. He's yet to score over 20 DraftKings points in a start this season. So obviously that's a little concerning. But really what's concerning is like the fly balls, the hard hits, 50% hard hits to both sides of the plate. Really not generating a ton of whiffs against lefties. And like they have lefties that can hit lefties in this lineup. So think this might potentially be a sneaky spot for Philadelphia, kind of looking at like the lefty matchups here for Heaney. So probably going to pass on playing a lot of Heaney if I play any. Probably won't play any. Wheeler on the other side of this game. I mean, this is one of the best offenses in baseball. They can go very left-handed, as we see like here with the projected starting lineup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lefties in this lineup. With the potential of having more, like that's not even like the end-all number there. So it'd be really interesting to see what they have here as far as the lineup. But like if Wheeler gets a very right-handed heavy lineup, I could see playing Zach Wheeler in this one. But I mean, I just like Gill and Skeens more than Wheeler today. And like Wheeler is the most expensive pitcher. He's probably got the tougher matchup of the three. So I mean, I think Wheeler's going to be lower owned, but I just don't think this is the spot or the slate that I'm like, hey, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to play Wheeler in this tough matchup at lower ownership. I think Gill and Skeens have too much ceiling for this spot to just say, hey, I'm just going to play Zach Wheeler. Tough matchup for Zach Wheeler. In large field tournaments, I don't know if I'll do it in like a 3-entry max, but in like large field tournaments, I think you could stack against Zach Wheeler today if you really wanted to. Where he has struggled as left-handed hitters this season, as we're looking at here on Plate IQ, 207 ISO, 340 WOBA. A lot of line drives, a lot of hard contact against lefties. His barrel rate's way up. Like his barrel rate last year was 6.7. Barrel rate this year is 9.5. Not really getting BABIP. Like, Seager, Lowe, Josh Smith, Heim, Evan Carter, a lot of good left-handed hitters in this lineup. So I could see like a large field tournament potentially taking shots on Zach Wheeler or taking shots against Zach Wheeler or playing Zach Wheeler in large field tournaments. But I don't think I'd get there in like a 3-entry max type of build today. Other side, I mean, I have interest here against Heaney. Like I said, I think this could potentially be a sneakier spot for Philly because of the lefties. It's like lefty, but like Andrew Heaney has really struggled with lefties. He did this last year too. He really struggled like throwing strikes against lefties. Walked a lot of lefties last year. Schwarber and Harper as like tournament pivots, because like I mean, obviously we like Realmuto, we like Alec Bohm, we like Sosa. So I think Philadelphia is like one of those teams where we could potentially get some lower ownership on these like 3-man stacks. So yeah, I mean, very interested here in Philly. I think they're a team I really want to kind of get some exposure to. Sosa is 3,400. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a spot we could definitely take some shots. Derek, I see you in chat talking about your Cardinals sweeping the Orioles. Do you see the Cardinals say that they don't want Trevor Bauer, and it's all just hype? Trevor Bauer would be a huge lift to that team. San Diego at Cincinnati. 9.5 total in this game. Pick'em game. Matt Waldron against Frankie Montas. Yeah, my best lineup on Wednesday night was a Cincinnati San Diego game stack. Waldron, knuckleball guy. When the knuckle is working, it's great. When it's not, low strikeouts against lefties, really struggles with lefties. Lot of solid potential here in this lineup just overall. So probably not going to play Waldron today. He is cheap at 6,200, like in large field tournaments. If you wanted to take some shots on him here, and the knuckleball was working, sure. I mean, the last time he faced his team, he got hit pretty hard, 4 earned runs in 6 innings, 1 home run, and that game was in San Diego. So obviously, the Great American Small Park here. Just not personally very interested in playing Waldron. Frankie Montas on the other side of this game. Raby. Oh, there he is. I mean, just not the stuff we're kind of hoping here for Frankie Montas, and I feel like it's just not the stuff that like Cincinnati was hoping for here for Frankie Montas. But he's really struggling. 16% Ks on the year, 50% hard hits. Just not really generating any swinging strikes or whiffs. So I think overall, I'm probably going to pass on Frankie Montas. Looking at the stats here, just not good stuff. Enough lefties in this lineup for me to be off of Montas. Going back to the well here on San Diego, Arias at hitting leadoff 3,500 or 355 WOBA. Man, I cannot speak. It is late. I was working on a lot of NASCAR stuff and I lost track of time. And I was like, oh, I need to do the morning grind. And hey, we still got people hanging out on YouTube. Fernando Tatis, Profar, Cronenworth, Miro. I don't know what's going on with Manny Machado. It's like, man, his stats are way down. His price hasn't really come down, so it's really tough. I think overall, I'll play him in San Diego stacks if it kind of makes sense. But, we'll see like who's in the lineup, who's not for them overall. But yeah, I mean, I have a ton of interest in this game. Like even the Cincinnati side, right? You got a cheap leadoff hitter here with Jacob Hurts, and then like Ellie De La Cruz. We know his ceiling. Candelario has a little bit of pop. Mike Ford has pop. Martini, like Will Benson, has been hitting last, so his ownership in tournaments has been way down. I like the idea of getting some Nick Martini. I like Mike Ford on the cheap end here. I like the cheap bats for Cincy. I think that this is a good spot to get some of these cheap bats and, kind of fill out those pitchers, right? I keep talking about the pitchers. Gonna get to these pitchers as much as I possibly can today because I think the pitchers make a huge difference. I don't like a lot of pitchers on the slate, so as much as I can, I feel like I'm going to play Skeens and Gill. I mean, my slate, I'll know right away like what my slate's looking like because, again, I just think that this is one of those spots where I'm going to get these guys. So up next, we got... Sorry, my screen clicked off. Atlanta at Chicago Cubs here. We have an opener situation for the Cubs. Like Ben Brown is going to open this game, and then it sounds like it's going to be Kyle Hendricks coming in after him. So I think that's what we're going to be working with here is like a Kyle Hendricks long relief situation. And then we got Smith Shawver pitching for Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, he has really, really struggled in AAA. And we're going to start with him, obviously. He's really struggled in AAA this season. Like, really, really bad numbers. His whip is through the roof. He pitched a little bit last year. I don't know if he's in the... Oh, he isn't. Look at the team is just... They're just knocking it out of the park. So we saw him a little bit last year, and he really struggled. with left-handed hitters. So 18.5 or 18.8% Ks against lefties. Walk rate was 14%, 345 WOBA or ISO. Big powers to both sides of the plate, but just all the way down. Really struggled with left-handed hitters last season. A lot of barrels to both sides of the plate. So, and as bad as he's struggled in like AAA this year, I don't know. I don't see myself getting to a lot of Smith Shawver in this one. So I kind of like the Cubs bats. And I definitely like the Braves bats in this one. Kyle Hendricks pitching in long relief here. He's just been awful. He can't get any hitter out right now. That's why they're moving into the bullpen. Loading up on bats in this one. As far as Atlanta, obviously, like Ozuna, his hard hit data is just through the roof this season. It's just phenomenal, really. Obviously, Albies, Acuna, Olsen, Harris, all these guys very much in play. But I actually think my favorite hitter here is Ozuna. Like, again, he's just hitting everything really hard. I mean, Ozuna has a 60.4% hard hit rate with a 37% fly ball rate, and he's barreling the ball 16.5% of the time. So obviously Matt Olson, he's hitting the ball hard. He's barreling a lot. So those two guys just top of the list today as far as like home run upside. I like the Cubs. I think this is a good spot for the Cubs. I haven't checked the weather. Probably should do that really quick. And see what we're looking at here. Chicago Cubs, May 23rd. Looks like a little bit of wind blowing in, but I don't know if it'd be enough to matter. It looks like it's going to be under 10 miles an hour. So, yeah, I want to pick on him. Obviously, I already mentioned that. I like Bellinger a lot in this spot. Ian Happ. I think you can pick on him with both platoons. I definitely like the lefties more. Michael Busch, low strikeout pitcher. I always like playing Michael Busch. Tachman. Yeah, I mean, very, very interested in like the San Diego bats, the Cincinnati bats, the Atlanta bats, and the Cubs bats on this slate. I think that's where a lot of my hitting ownership. Oh, and Pittsburgh. That's where a lot of my hitting ownership is going to go. With as much as Gill and Skeens as I can get. I might just like build a 20-incher max for fun before I go to bed here and just lock in Gill and Skeens and set my stacks to those 5 teams and just see what comes out. Have some fun. I have a NASCAR podcast like at the time of this lock, so I'm definitely going to be playing, but I won't be watching these games to start. So we'll see how it kind of plays out. Colorado at Oakland, 7.5 total. Oakland is a 120 favorite in this one. Feltner against Estes. We'll start here with Ryan Feltner. Got to switch it to righty. I mean, low strikeout pitcher, below average strikeout pitcher. Woba at 350, 349. Hard hit rate at 44.9%. Really struggling with lefties as far as hard contact. He's done a great job of limiting barrels, but like really, really favorable BABIP here for Feltner. If I went and probably looked at his xERA, it'd probably be really low. I'm going to pass on Feltner. Just hasn't really. I mean, he's had one good game this year. It was against Tampa, or it might have been in Coors. But yeah, I'm not playing Feltner in this one. Again, I don't like a lot of pitchers on the slate. I'm sorry. I do have some interest in Joey Estes here. He at least has some strikeout upside, like a lot of red. Very small sample size, but he got beat up really hard last time out by Houston, but he still had some decent strikeout numbers in that game. They let him throw 89 pitches, so again, it's a command thing. It's a young pitcher. Command is going to be the issue. I mean, it's the Rockies. He's cheap at 6,500. If I'm not getting like the top end guys, I think he's in play. You could potentially, like I said, play Waldron. But man, there's just not a lot of pitching options on the slate. Again, I am going to play as much Gill and Skeens as I possibly can. I wasn't joking. If I play like a 20-incher max, I might just lock those two guys in and let them kind of dictate my slate because I just don't like a lot of pitching on the slate. It happens that way sometimes, you know. It really does. Like once we get like spread out as far as like how rotations work and stuff, like some days are just not going to be good. Really attacked S this last time out, like with lefties. So like Ryan McMahon, I think is playable in this spot. Tovar is always somebody I like playing. I know it's righty, but that's fine. So I like Tovar, I like McMahon. Rest of this lineup is just really bad. You could take shots on maybe Doyle or Beck, Blackman. I'm not going out of my way to play those guys. A lot of good bats on the slate. As far as Oakland goes, I clicked on Lambert. Not much better, right? Feltner is a guy that like he's pretty splits neutral, but he does give up a lot more hard contact to lefties. So Blade is someone I don't mind here. If Lane Lears catches today, I have a ton of interest in him at 4,100. I just don't think a lot of catchers have like high ceilings outside of like Realmuto, so I don't mind trying to get Lang Lears in there today. I think he is someone you could definitely get in your lineups. Roker, Blade, Lang Lears, little 3-man, maybe Toro, maybe JD Davis. Brett Harris, ever since they kind of called Brett Harris up, he's been hitting. Did they raise his price finally? Nope, he's still 2,500 at third base. So just continues to be really cheap. And he hit really well when he first got called up. They haven't been playing him every day, but he has a little bit of pop here, so I don't mind maybe some Brett Harris at 2,500. All right, play the morning grind game. Hope you all enjoyed the Plate IQ preview. Always fun to share some Plate IQ knowledge with everybody. QQ pre-practice bet: Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Elliott, Kozlowski, Busher. I mean, it's really hard to argue. It's really hard to argue with any of those guys. I mean, Martin Truex Jr. is always somebody I love when we're going day to night, long type of race. It always seems like he runs really well when we have that kind of situation. So I don't mind that. I don't know. I think you have to also respect like how good the Fords have been and how good Ryan Blaney was here last year. William Byron was really good here last year too. Martin Truex Jr. was really good towards the end of that race. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would probably say Martin Truex Jr. or Blaney. Maybe Busher. I probably have it really close to the order you have it. The extra like little horsepower they found in the Ford engines has really made a difference recently. So that stat is like really interesting that like they were talking about how maybe they're just producing a little bit more horsepower right now. And it definitely has showed. Ford has definitely showed up lately. So Blaney was really good here last year. I was at the race, and he was just really, really good all day. I think he was first in speed in that race, but yeah, he was really good. I think Truex ranked second or third, and Byron was the other one. Like Blaney, Byron, and Truex were the three fastest cars here last year. All right, sidetracked by NASCAR, but hey, it's a short slate, and you know, gotta give the chat what they ask, right? All right, under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. I really would not pick any of these guys. If I had to pick any of them, I'd probably say Joey Estes. Over 8K to score under 15, I'd say Luis Castillo. Low strikeout matchup, high power matchup for the Yankees and in Yankee Stadium. I'm going to pass on playing Luis Castillo today. Over 4K to hit a home run. I think I'm going to go like way off the board here. I don't know. I want to go off the board a little bit. Give me Bryce Harper. I don't know if it's off the board, but give me Bryce Harper lefty to hit a home run today. Under 4K to get 2 hits. I think we have a lot of options under 4K today to get 2 hits, but I really like Jake Swazinski for Pittsburgh. He might not get 2 hits, but I love his home run upside and stolen base upside in this matchup. So give me a Swazinski at 3,500. Stack and score 6 or more runs. I listed my favorite 5: Cincinnati, San Diego, Atlanta, Chicago, Pittsburgh. If I had to pick one of them, give me Cincinnati. Even though I really like Atlanta today. Player props. Let me quickly. I haven't looked at player props. They weren't out yet when I was doing my research for the slate 2 hours ago. And then I got sidetracked on NASCAR stuff. That happens a lot. Skeen strikeout at 7.5 is somewhat interesting. Gill strikeout prop at 7.5 at plus money on DraftKings is interesting. Gosh, I wish it was like a little bit lower. 6.5 would be. I really would like 6.5 for Gill, but man, the Seattle strikes out at such a high clip. That one I'm like super questionable on. I think that might be the right line here for him. He potentially waits for some lineups to come out for some of these bets. Montas 3.5, Waldron. Gosh, they're just not really giving us a lot of good lines right now. Just in general here. So Wheeler. Wow, Wheeler is minus 155 for under 7.5 strikeouts. It's moved to 6.5 on some books. I don't know if I'd pay the juice, but I don't think I want Wheeler to get. I don't think Wheeler has a chance with all those lefties to get 7.5 strikeouts. But that's a huge number. I will say, like the late slate, there's only like 2 games on the late slate. Mike Clevenger against Baltimore. Baltimore's like team totals 5.5. They should absolutely crush Mike Clevenger. So I do like. Gosh, it's moved so much. I like Baltimore minus 1.5. I bet it at like minus 137, but it has moved so much since I did that bet. So I do like Baltimore minus 1.5. That's what I was going to talk about, but that line's moved a lot. Nothing else really jumping off the page for me here. So we'll leave it at that. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us or with me, Solo Pod, live here because it's late. It's 1:40 a.m. on the East Coast. So late podcast. Do the White Sox have a weather delay tarp they can screw the Orioles with? Anyway, appreciate everyone hanging out. If you like these videos, make sure you comment on the video, like the video, and back. I won't be back tomorrow. I'm heading out for the Coke 600, so I'll be gone. But TJ will be here with Will, so make sure you hang out with those guys live. And yeah, I'll be back next week. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and I'll see you then.